Xana's here, and today I have Katelyn Bullock. She is a wonderful person, entrepreneur, who has turned life's challenges into stepping stones for success. As co-founder of Enta, she has revolutionized business culture and oh my God, I have voices in my head everywhere. I'm so sorry. It's it's fine. Today is like crazy day in terms of tech. I don't know. My tech hates me today. So, okay, getting back to Katelyn. So, Katelyn, welcome. So great to have you today. I know you are incredibly busy, but I really wanted to talk to you. We found each other on LinkedIn, and when I read your About Me section, I was like, yeah, I need to talk to her. I need to interview her. So can you share like how it started, how you started with Enta?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, first of all, for having me. I really appreciate it, Sana. This is awesome, and I love the concept of the mind body tech. Just like so cool.
Thank you so much.
Really resonates with me. So I'm an engineer by like trade, right? And got into engineering and the construction, oil and gas world, and that's where I found my business partner. I actually audited him, and so I co-founded Enta with Adam Colazetti 7 years ago. And we kept having these conversations of like, well, if we were to do something differently, like this is how we would have done it differently. We're working for a big engineering firm, right? And in fact, one of the projects that they were working on, they ended up clearing an entire football area worth of trees in the wrong area. The contractor started in the wrong spot. And it was honestly because so they called us in like, what's the root cause? Tell us what went wrong. How did this even happen? And what it came down to is they had the processes, the tools, the training, all the stuff that you would expect a big business to have. They had it, but people were just doing the steps. They weren't plugged in, and they chose to skip a step. Understandable. We have to remain flexible to meet client needs, but they didn't think, what could this cause? They weren't plugged in and really like engaged to go, this could cause an issue. We've got to do something extra if we're going to do this. And so that's when we realized that you can have all the processes and all the tech in the world, but if people aren't plugged into it and there's not the culture there to be engaged, they won't do anything for the business. Right. And so that was our concept. Very similar. We have mind, body, soul, right? A company has culture, the soul, it's the people. It's got, process, that's the mind. And then it's got technology, that's the body, right? That's what makes it all work. And it's the physical aspect of it. So it's like the mind, body, soul of a business. And we wanted to find the sweet spot for our clients. And that's what we did. We decided to go out, start a company during a recession, kind of crazy.
Okay. we started to get closer to interesting moments. So
right.
how it's let's start with some sort of lessons learned. What any type of business is hard, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I totally feel the moment like we entered the recession because I started. I've been in 3 businesses as a founder, and I always found this sweet spot, like before Corona,
Yeah.
before
Right.
crisis, before like I was like, okay, I'm fine with that. Let's go. So, what was for you this moments of up and downs? What lessons learned?
Oh, I could write a novel on all the lessons we've learned throughout the 7 years, but really one that resonated early on for me, because as engineers and often in like the tech industry or wherever we live, like our personalities are like, I can do it,
Yeah.
but should I do it? Right. So finding your zone of genius and saying, okay, I'm going to do everything to live there. And I'll find my team, my people who can support the rest, because just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. And so I think that one was a big lesson learned, to be able to like, not think I'm the only person who can do the things, do you know?
Absolutely. And you have a co-founder, right? So You started 7 years ago. How your dynamics was? I mean, yeah, you know each other, but it doesn't actually matter if you know each other or not, especially with friends. It's hard. But how was your dynamics through thick and thin?
Um, I mean, I feel guilty. I won the partner lottery. Like I've heard so many horror stories, but Adam and I think one of the things that actually really helped us is that our first conversations were about culture. And like before we even registered Enta as a company, we talked about like what would the values be? What does that look like? How are we going to show up? And lawyers hate this. Sana, lawyers hate this. We are 50-50 partners.
Oh my God, not just lawyers hate that. I mean, I know a lot of stories about 50-50. I can talk about this all the time, but yeah, you've been through crazy stuff, right?
Crazy
Because
stuff.
you naming yourself as a resilient entrepreneur. So what's inside of this? What is the story?
So this is actually really funny. I think when we started and signed on 50-50, we were ignorant as entrepreneurs go as to like what that meant. But we had and continue to have such good communication. Like if we can't reach an agreement, we haven't talked long enough. And we've honestly never have had an argument or a disagreement that we couldn't just like talk it out and really go back to those values and be like, well, what are the values? What are we trying to achieve? And really getting alignment. And I honestly think having that clarity of vision and values has been the foundation that has allowed us to talk through all of the difficult times.
Mm, that's great.
Yeah.
And can you elaborate like difficult times more?
Yeah. One of the hardest times I think was the pandemic. At that time, it was just me and Adam, and we were pretty much flat out consulting for companies, helping them develop their culture and put it into behaviors. And the pandemic hit, we lost 90% of our contracts. They got canceled or put on hold. So as engineers do, we made an Excel sheet. We calculated how long we had, right? And so we had about 3 months before, we had to tell our spouses we can't pay our mortgages. Like
No pressure, no
no
pressure.
pressure, right? And I know so many people were in that. And it was a real struggle. So Adam and I had to pivot. We had to learn everything we could about social media, digital marketing. We saved our business in 3 months and we blew projections in 6. And from that time, understanding that social media isn't a checkbox done, but it's building a community, which you know all about. It's building connection and engagement. Having that philosophy actually pivoted our whole company to us opening up an entire division that helps digital culture.
Wow.
So, how do you build communities online? And that was the thing that saved us. And we continue to do it today as well. So, that was a hard time, a very hard time. And we had to talk it through. Like, there was days where we sat there and we were scared,
Mm.
right? I remember sweeping the floor. My kids were outside playing on the weekend, and I was just bawling, like scared to my core. And that's hard. It's a hard place to be. You feel alone, even with a business partner. You still feel alone because there's so much you still hold in, right?
Of
And
course, of course.
yeah, we just had to figure it out, and we just picked one thing and we tried it. And I think that's been critical, is knowing, try it, figure it out. Doesn't work, tweak it, tweak it. I call it iterating to success, right? Because that's it. As an entrepreneur, if you keep trying, you will win eventually.
Yeah, and what I believe in, it's this power of broke. I don't know if you there is a book, Power of Broke, and it's actually the moment when you feel like you have nothing to lose. You just need to jump from
Yeah.
the bottom. So, and you
Yes.
became unstoppable because you are not afraid anymore. You're not afraid to be weird. You are not afraid
No.
to like what people think about me. This is actually how I started these interviews. I was like, okay, I want to talk to wonderful people, and I hate editing videos.
Yep.
I tried this. It doesn't work for me. And I was like, okay, I'll do live. And I don't need to change anything because it's live. I'm not editing any videos. So
Yeah.
this is how I started this. And I felt like a crazy person because I never did anything like this. And yeah, sometimes when you have nothing to lose,
You just
you do great things. So
right.
I feel that. Can you share like this moment of fear? How you just continue to do this? I mean, day by day.
Yeah.
How you
It
found
definitely
this power in you?
it definitely wasn't the only moment of fear. There's been multiple ones. And I mean, I think Adam and I are fairly transparent, so we talk to each other a little bit about it. But really what it comes down to is I have just like an incredibly positive attitude constantly. I think it's part of who I am. I was like born with it, right? Is this like find a way? It's okay. We'll figure it out. Okay, now well, what's next? Like step forward, step forward. But really to ground myself, I started practicing like manifestation. And I know that this is like a hot topic on people with people right now, but it's really just visualizing where I want to be and the feeling I'm going to feel when I get there, and putting my mindset in the right place when I start the day. I think people can sense your energy, right? Even
Yeah.
digitally, even when we're like talking like this, you can sense the energy. And so I think it honestly, if you put yourself in that right mindset, doors open because people sense positivity and they want more of it.
Yeah.
Right. And that is how I got out of the fear cycle, because people can sense fear too. They can sense when you're stressed and when you're desperate. Right. And I think that it's very powerful as well to do that. Do you manifest?
Yeah.
Do you manifest?
Yeah. Visualization, manifestation, everything. I'm trying anything and everything. And what you mentioned, like people can feel desperation. This is thing that I always like. I work with startup founders who fundraising,
Yeah.
and this is like a main part. It doesn't matter if you asking as an entrepreneur came to, for example, you come into bankers
Yeah.
or you come in for money to venture investors. You need to look like you don't need this money. This is not your last day of your cash flow. Do
Yes.
whatever it takes, like take acting classes. It doesn't matter. You don't need to be desperate. This is the big red flag. And
Totally.
yes, yeah, especially if this is their job. People, I mean, other people, people you're
Yeah.
talking to, they feel this so much. Yeah, 100%.
Well, it's funny you
Okay.
talk about
Yeah,
investors. Like one of the hard times that we had is like we were suffering from cash flow issues, which is another big thing as entrepreneurs grow and
absolutely.
scale. And we had a couple people come in and like ask to either buy or invest. And like we needed the money. But we said, nope, we want to make this our vision. And somebody else coming in is going to complicate that. Right. And so we had to say no and thank you, but no thank you, and struggle through. And that was hard. That's hard to do, right? When it's there in front of you, it's really hard to do. But really, it was believing in that vision and that we could do it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Interesting, as you said, you are making decisions together. I mean, you 50-50. Do you have some sort of framework how are you approaching decisions?
Formally, no. But if I unpack what we do, it's candid transparency, like just completely like radical transparency on what we want to gain as individuals, what we want to gain as a company. We we look at it from every angle. And this might be our engineering backgrounds, because Adam's also an engineer. He's like an aerospace engineer, so literally a rocket scientist. Uh, so I think we take like a scientific approach to it, where we're like, okay, well, what about this angle? Have we considered this? And we don't get emotionally tied to it. Or if we are, we call it out. Like I'll
Mm.
say, like, I don't know why, Adam, I feel this way. I'm emotionally tied to it, right? And being able to call that out is that you're aware that this is an emotional impulse, not logical. And being able to say that, I think, is very powerful. That self-awareness, because we do sometimes have these like emotional feelings that are driving our decisions, and there's no logical reason for it, right?
It's like gut feeling too. I mean,
Yeah,
gut feeling is a real thing.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always say, like, as like business owners, we need to make decisions with like three parts of our body: our head, our heart, and our gut. And we've got to listen to all of those, right? Because if
Yeah.
it doesn't align in one of those areas, there's a reason typically, right?
Absolutely.
We'll let
Yeah. It's like one of my guests, Sandra, she said like, I trust gut feeling, and she's a venture investor. But gut feeling, it's about past background, what you learn through the years.
yeah,
So, and it's never like about good stuff. It's about some red flags. And if you like, oh, whatever, it's always bites you.
yeah,
So yeah, yeah, for sure.
yeah. Tell
Everyone
us.
thinks that. But sometimes people think that gut feeling is about some future predictions, but it's not. It's not. It's about like your past experiences. Basically, your brain, uh, through vagus nerve, gives you this information.
Yeah,
Like, remember, we
remember.
have this
Yeah,
problem before. It's the same. So yeah. Okay. I really want about to talk about your body. I mean, in terms of how you cope with stress, and do you have some sort of wellness practices, sports, whatever? How you cope with the stress? Let's start with this.
yeah. I mean, it's so important. And so on top of like the stress of entrepreneurship, I'm a mother of two kids, 7 and 4.
Mm.
I'm a wife to a husband who works away on an acreage that takes a lot of work. So there's a lot of different stress capacity. Like I would
Wow.
say, like, pinnacles of stress in my life, right? That come and go. And typically, if there's stress in one area and the other areas are good, I'm able to manage it with diet, exercise, and good sleep. But that's kind of critical for me as a human. I have ADHD superpowers. So if I don't control my diet, my sleep, and my exercise, I can't focus.
Mm.
So it just so happens that it helps with my stress cycle too. Um, and that for exercise for me, I would love to do sports, but I don't have the time. I literally wake up at 4 a.m. before anybody else in my house is up, and I'll like do strength training just by
Mm.
myself with a couple of weights and work out. But I want to be completely honest with you. There is so much stress in too many aspects of my life this summer, and those techniques were no longer working. Like, I could not get myself out of bed to work out anymore. My hair started falling out. My nails started to peel off, and I
Mm.
started gaining weight. And I was like, what is going on with me? I went to my doctor, and they said, like, and this is really hard for me to talk about because there's still like a stigma around like mental health, and I was
Yeah, that's why it's so important to talk about.
Yeah, it is. But, he said to me, like, and I explained to him there was a lot of stress going on in my personal life with health issues with my daughter. And so, it was, he said to me, Kaylin, you you take on a lot more stress than the average person as an entrepreneur. He's like, but now you have all these other stressors, and they're not about to go away anytime soon. He's like, so we need to get you better.
Mhm.
And so I booked in with a psychologist. We went on some medication. And like, it was really hard for me to take that step and to admit that, because I'd never dealt with mental health. But he said, it's not depression situational. He's like, your body just can't handle any more cortisol.
Mhm.
He's like, it's inundated, and it's like telling you you're done. You've maxed out. He's like, so until you get some of these things down in life, and you've got them sorted out, and that could take like a year or so, let's give you the support you need. And that was hard because I had managed it all before. you know? And I thought I'd gone through all the hard stuff before, like, you know, your business is about to die, all this stuff is going on. And,
Yeah.
you know, I reached the limit and I needed help and I had to ask for help. And it's okay to ask for help. And I think that was kind of a learning moment for me, and quite recently. So it's, it's still
Yeah.
pretty early.
Thank you so much for sharing. It's so essential because there is really a stigma about like you need to be strong
Right.
personalities, especially women. Like, come on, we can do both. We can be successful and we can be fragile.
Yeah.
It's fine
It's
for
okay.
women, for men, for anyone on this planet. We can do this and ask for help
Right.
because so many entrepreneurs burn out. Not just entrepreneurs, like any professional.
Yeah.
If you care, you can
Yeah.
be burned out. Yeah, so absolutely. Um, all right. So let's talk about, I mean, how you winding down in the evening. I understand you have like kids, you have a lot on your plate, you have a business, but sleep is essential. So how you prepare for sleep?
Well, I usually end up falling asleep while I put my kids to sleep, which ends up happening. But like, you know, bedtime for us is that magical moment where you get to connect and talk about your day and ask questions and like really just relax with no other, like the phone's away, everything's away, their games are away, their toys are away. It's just that connection
Mhm.
moment. For me, that all the stress during the day, that just it brings me down. Because in that moment, there is nothing else more important than connecting with both of my kids and having that, you know, that time that it feels like you're not in the whirlwind for 1 second. And then yeah, I'm lucky, so like I'll lie with them and chat with them for a little bit, and then I accidentally fall asleep, and then I'll wake up and then go up to my own bed. But for the most part, that's it. But because I'm up early, I go to bed early, right? And I try not to use my phone before bed because then the brain gets going, right? And then you're
Mm,
like thinking about things and the right. So
100%.
yeah, I try from that moment when they go to bed, I'm not back. I don't go back into business. I don't go back into tech, right? So that allows me to say, this is my time and draw that boundary, which is not easy as an entrepreneur. Like you have a list of 1,000 things to do, but if you don't make those boundaries,
Yeah.
right, you just can't. You can't. Like you said, you burn out
You
completely.
always have stuff to do, especially if you have ideas, you like your mind always thinking, you cannot stop. So yeah, but you said you waking up so early. Can you explain why? I mean, 4 a.m.
Okay. This is so funny. I saw a LinkedIn post by a construction company here called Bird Construction, and they were doing a mental health awareness thing. And they said, this is probably 4 years ago, and it was in the spring. And they said, we challenge you to wake up with the sunrise for a whole week. And I was like, sure, why not? So I started waking up with the sunrise. And at the time, you know, it was getting to be about 4:30 a.m. when the sun was coming up. And I fell in love with that moment. I fell in love with the peacefulness. It was just about me in that moment, right? Whether it was health or it was like exercise or meditation, it was just me, or whether it was just me and a coffee in the sunrise and just there and being present. It was so powerful. I have done it since for 4 years. And
four
so
years. Oh,
yeah.
oh my God.
So like it's amazing, like these companies put out these posts and they don't know the ripple effect, right? When people
Yeah.
talk about mental health or they say, let's do a challenge, it's like a fun idea, but they don't understand like that ripple effect was key to me finding that peace. And so yeah, I continue to do it, and sunrises are absolutely my favorite moment in the whole day.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, I actually last year I woke up early, and for quite some time. I mean, almost a year. I woke up at 5:30. But maybe a few months ago, it's just stopped. I
Yeah.
just I'm sleeping up to 8, and it's like late for me, but I cannot get up earlier. I don't know. Maybe it's stress too.
Yeah.
maybe something else. I have no idea. But I was like, okay, fine, I'm gonna be like this. So
Right.
for now, yeah.
Yeah.
So can we talk about some habits of yours? So maybe you have some daily routines or habits that is like you found as most effective for your work, for your performance, for being, in the zone and working incredibly great.
Yeah. And this one is, I wouldn't necessarily, it's a habit because sometimes I fall off this train and back on,
Yeah,
but especially like ADHD superpowers, we have the ability to hyper focus and do like some amazing things, but you can't be multitasking, right? You can't. So I would,
actually, any people should not be doing that because our brain cannot multitask. It doesn't work like that.
right?
So
Exactly.
yeah, it's
We think
fine.
we're good at it. Yeah. But what I would do is I would block what I would call flow time.
Mm,
And I would say, okay, this task needs flow time. Like it needs innovation, creativity, it needs utter focus to get it done. And I would book in flow time, and it has to be 2 hours. So if I can book 2 hours and call it flow time and just put a specific task to that one flow time, nothing else interrupts it. And like holding that time sacred to get that done, it would move me miles forward versus trying to like get it done off the side of my desk. Right. So I would book in flow time on a regular basis, like once a week, twice a week, whatever I needed, depending on how much I had on my to do list to get done that needed it. But doing that flow time was super critical for productivity.
mm.
Yeah. What do you do?
And it depends on my energy levels because and depends on how good I slept and how much deep sleep I had. But uh, I'm the most effective in the morning in terms of creativity and things that takes like a lot of focus, something new. When I was totally zero in sales knowledge, like how to sell myself, how to sell my services and so on. So I
Yeah.
needed to learn about it, and it was so hard for me. It's like totally new topic, and I needed this morning energy, and I woke up early and I sat and I learned and learned, and I understood that, okay, i I need this peak moments in the morning for
Yeah.
something that is critical, it's important and new. So, and everything else after 4 p.m., I'm like done. I have calls, I have sessions with clients, but it's
Yeah.
not creative. It's something that I know. Like you can woke me in the at night, and I will tell this to you. I
Yeah.
mean, nothing special. Uh, so,
Right.
um, but nothing else. I mean, after 4, I'm not a creative person at all.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's a time where you tap out for sure, right? They always say to do
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the tasks that you find the hardest or the most like intense, do them early. And the ones that like actually light you up and you're excited to do them later. Because you'll always be excited to do them. But
Yeah,
if you have to
yeah.
do them late, if you have to do those ones that are hard later, like it's even harder to do.
You just hate that. I'm like looking into my computer and I see nothing. And what I always recommend to get up and go outside. If it's critical to do today, you need
Yeah.
to go outside for a walk in the
Yeah.
park or somewhere else. I mean, if you look into your computer and nothing changes, it means stop looking at your
Right?
computer and go outside. Yeah.
Yeah, you can
So,
feel it. You can feel it slow down for sure. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
and actually, you need to change and move because the blood will circulate faster, and your brain gonna be like, "Oh, I'm having new experience." So it's gonna be your creativity gonna be back, and you're gonna have
Yeah,
another peak hours, and you will figure it out. But you need to
absolutely.
change
Yeah,
the
yeah.
view.
The other thing I
S-
do, which has been super helpful, and you talk about sales and that kind of aspect. So once a month, I'll book a day off and I'll go hike in the mountains, or in the
mm,
winter, I'll snowboard in the mountains. But I'm out of cell range, and I'll do that. to like just reconnect. Doesn't matter how busy I'm,
Unplug. Yeah.
to unplug. Without a doubt, as soon as I'm out of cell range, I come back into range and there is a message on my phone. Hey, we want to work with you.
You need to go more
That's
frequently.
what they're like, Caitlin, why do you even come back? Like, just go every day. No, but I feel like it's like you're putting out that energy and it literally just comes back and it's like, okay, you're ready now. You've
Mm.
grounded, you're ready. Let's go. And it's been super powerful to just make that space.
That's great. I need to test this. Now it's very hard for us to go maybe the mountain, but I'm not exactly the snow person. But I will try it out. So based on your experience, based on what you experienced in terms of burnout, in terms of your mental health, what advice you can give to entrepreneurs, to professionals, how to like cope with these situations?
Yeah, I mean, the best advice I have is a hard piece of advice to take, but it is to be vulnerable and ask for help. Um, it's very vulnerable, like to talk about it live. It's vulnerable to tell my team that I was struggling. Um, it's a vulnerable place you put yourself in, but when you do that, like it's amazing who shows up for you and who's got your back, and that can be just what you need to pull you out of that slump and to be like, okay, I don't need to stress about it because I know I have people who've got my back. Right. And it could just take that little bit off to get you going again. And honestly, it's your tribe. It's your network of people who have always got your back. And if you spend time building that, when you're down, they'll be there. And that's powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And trust in people when you down, when you just sad. I mean,
Yeah.
your sadness is vulnerability too, but you can share this. And help people help by not just, I mean, it's not exactly helping. It's just being there for you. It's incredible.
Yeah. And I think as moms and like as women, everybody relies on us. So we're expected to be this pillar. And I think we have a hard time stepping forward and saying, I need help now, right? I need to rely on somebody. I need something to be in my right space. And so that's a hard thing for us to do because it's flipping that hat. Doesn't make you worse of a mom, doesn't make you worse of a wife or an entrepreneur to ask for help, right?
Yeah.
And we have to get past that stigma, I think.
Mm, absolutely. Okay, let's talk about the third part, the tech. So, do you have some tech tools, platforms that you use often and you found that it's like must have for you?
Lots of tech. And we have a whole team of videographers, graphic designers, so they have their own tech. And like, we always joke around, like, it's got to be at least 4K, right? Our video guys love that, right? They're all about the tech. But from my perspective, growing our business, couple techs that have been really helpful for us is being able to create a community and a networking community is using like the Sales Navigator with an outreach program. We use WeConnect.
Mm.
And that's how we met, actually, right? And so, but I think the difference really is like you have to back it up with action. Like if you're reaching out to build a network, add value. It's not about, hey, this is what I sell, come buy from me. It's about, I want to build a real network and it has to be genuine and it has to be authentic. And if
It's
it's not,
hard. It's
it'll fall
hard.
short. Yeah,
It
it'll
takes
fall
so
short.
much time. And actually, I made a big mistake when I like started full-time business. I had no idea how to sell. I mean,
Right.
zero understanding. And of course, what I did, I'm like I found an agency, or they found me, and I just hired them, and they started outreach on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And of course what and they like, we know what we are doing, not tell us what to do and so on. But I felt that's weird. Like I never talk to people like that. And
Yeah.
like I never received such toxic messages back to me. Never. For
Yeah.
years I'm on LinkedIn like since it started. I mean, and I felt, no, 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 guys, I'm not working like that. This is not how it should be. Because, hello, please pay me money. I
Right?
mean, it's weird. It's stupid.
Well, you
And
wouldn't walk up to somebody in an expo like that. Like you
of
wouldn't go to like
course,
a conference and be like, "Hi, do you want to buy from me?" Like we don't
of
treat
course
people like
not.
that in real
Yeah,
life. I don't understand why people do it like that in digital world. So like
absolutely.
I love tech. I love tools and I'm with you. And I've had probably in my time like two or three messages that are they're like, "Don't bug me." Okay, we're not going to do work together anyway. You're not my kind of person, right? Like if you're not wanting to have a conversation and network, like, I'm not saying we're going to do business together, but maybe I can connect you with somebody that you do want to meet, right? Like if I literally come in with no other agenda but just to get to know you and support other entrepreneurs, then that's got to be the
Because
win.
people not trusting this,
Yeah, I get it.
because of so many DMs about selling something. And
Totally.
I get that like what I do with my LinkedIn, it's like, okay, I have newsletter and I'm sharing a lot of useful information there. If you interested, come on, just
Yeah.
subscribe. If not, nothing. Then in newsletter you can like buy from me if you want to. You can
Yeah.
find my website and so on. But this is not a case. I'm sharing because I love it. I love
That's
what
right.
I'm doing. I'm like so happy that I can share this. But the
Hmm.
building community, it's so much resource. I mean, time
It is.
and effort to check every profile to understand if this good fit or not,
Yeah.
and not be afraid to talk. And like, yeah, most of the time people ignore me. And I'm like, okay, it's fine.
But you know what's
Thank you
really
for
cool?
ignoring me.
They're your people. They're your people, the ones that go, "Hey, I love that message. I resonate with you. Let's get to like let's
Yes,
chat."
yeah,
Those are your people anyway, right? And
yeah.
that's okay. And that's okay. So I like it. Yeah. I'm all about building community. Like that to me is important. And half the people like I've met with over half the people in my network and had a conversation. And usually it ends with, we're not going to do business together, but I know you should talk to this person, right? And it's amazing how powerful that is because they
Yeah.
remember that you came in just wanting to lift them up. And like a year later, they'll come back and be like, "Hey, I remembered our conversation. I want to introduce you to this person and I'll do business with that person." And that is power of like creating a strong community because it's not about what can I get, it's about how can I support you, right? And that's
Absolutely, yeah.
the other two
It's
texts.
genuine, yeah.
Yeah, it's genuine. Exactly. The other two texts I love are kind of ones we use in the operations. Obviously, ChatGTP. Everybody loves it.
Thank God. Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah,
it's a. I tell my staff like it's a great 80%er. It'll get you unstuck. It'll give you ideas. It'll get you 80% of the way there. Always plug in a human.
yeah.
Always. Never just take it. Like plug in a human, plug in your tone, plug in your feel, whatever it is. Um, but it's a great unstick tool
Yeah.
for sure. And then the other one's Miro. We use Miro a lot. Have you ever heard of Miro?
Of
Yes.
course, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Love it. The things you can do with that tool are so interactive, and people are drawn to pictures, drawn to images, and being able to describe process in that way and be able to describe systems in that way. And we build our entire employee improvement program in there that's interactive and it moves and people are like engaged in it. It's very cool tool to be able to really bring the boring systems of business to life. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. What about you personally?
Me personally, for
Mm-hmm.
technology,
Mm.
oh my gosh, what do I geek out on? I love my Oculus and I love gaming.
Oh, I'm here with you because I'm like a crazy gamer. I have PS4, I suppose. I don't remember. Basically, I haven't played for a long time, but I play StarCraft on my computer.
Yes.
So, yeah, I don't have Oculus, but I'm a gamer. I'm unplugging through games.
Yes.
So,
It's how me and my son connect because he loves Minecraft and Zelda. So we love to like solve all the problems or like build stuff together. So um,
yeah.
love those ones. We play on the Nintendo, and then I have my Oculus, which he tries to steal all the time. But Adam and I, we purchased a an ETH tower apartment. Do you know what those are? So like in the NFT world, I'm gonna go
No.
crazy NFT world. So we love the NFT like crypto world, and we actually purchased a condo in the metaverse. So we have real
Wow.
estate in the metaverse.
This is a
Um,
serious.
right? We're like, we could be our office space. So only one of my other employees has an Oculus. So we still have to get it set up and like design our condo. But yeah, it's on our to-do list for sure.
Well, that was unexpected, I must say. Like, condo as NFT, this is like next stage for
Right?
me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What
It's
about
really neat.
wellness and anything connected to like your balancing? Do you use some application or something?
Um, you mean like to my schedule and stuff to balancing what I do?
Schedule or meditation apps or I mean wellness. Do
Yeah.
you use anything?
I usually use people for the wellness side of things. So, like, I have a personal trainer um, who I'm kicking off with, Emily Levino, and she's came highly recommended. So, I'm going to kick off with her to do strength training. But before that, I worked with a lovely lady virtually, and we would actually train virtually together. So, I guess you're using tools then and tech then to do that. But I love having that connection piece, right? The meditation piece, I listen to frequencies. I think it's another ADHD mind thing. Like, I love
Mm.
frequencies. And my husband's like, why are you listening to that noise? I'm like, it just soothes me. So that's something that I
It's
love to do.
actually a big part now, big trend because I know several startups on this theme, like Moonai. As far as I remember,
Yeah.
they are trendy now. I mean, they have a good traction, not trendy, but someday. And I'm listening for some focus music. It's not just frequencies; it's like focusing music,
Yeah.
but it's like real stuff. It's
Yeah.
because our brain waves they like feel this waves, musical or frequencies, and if it helps you, it's absolutely scientific.
Right?
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. And I enjoy it. So I use that for the mind. And then as far as scheduling goes, like I live and breathe and die by my calendar. Like if it's not in there, it doesn't happen.
yeah, I'm here
Right.
with you.
Everything. I even like block drive time, and this is when I like do this and like I like working with people. I have an EA who is unbelievable. My girl Juanita like has my back, and she just I have never had somebody be like on it so good. Like she's just the most amazing EA I've ever had, and really just looks out for me and is like looking 10 steps ahead of me, which is hard to do because I run fast. So she's like, yeah, a godsend for sure. Um, and she knows exactly how to use my calendar in a way that I like it works for me. So that I think pairing the tools and the people, like we talked about that process tools, people, all of
Yeah,
it together is
yeah,
so critical. And yeah, it's really the people in my life that integrate into those tools that make them what they are.
absolutely. Finding right people,
Yeah.
it's it's better than any money. I mean, you
Right?
can do a lot of money with the right people, and it's going to be faster and more efficient and so on. So,
Yes.
thank you so much. It was like we had 45 minutes and it feels like 1 minute for me. It's like, phew. It was incredible talk. I hope you enjoyed it as I enjoyed it. So
Yes, very much.
I really appreciate you sharing, especially these sensitive moments. I really, really appreciate. And I hope our audience and everyone who will be watching, first of all, don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you next week, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Katelyn.
Appreciate it.